respectful, and that's something Coach Bluter even appreciates. She wants us to know the history of the women's game and what C. Vivian Stringer did and what.
It looked like a jump ball. No, wait, it looked like a foul. The replay didn't lie. Even live, you could see Caitlin Clark pointing right at the referee, exasperated, mouthing, "You were right in front of her." In that moment, frustration boiling over after Sophie Cunningham was thrown to the ground was the perfect microcosm of what's wrong with the WNBA's officiating this season. The Indiana Fever may have escaped with a thrilling 78-74 victory over the Seattle Storm, but the win was overshadowed by yet another officiating nightmare that has left fans, players, and analysts shaking their heads. From the opening tip, the game had the kind of energy you can feel even through a TV screen. Every possession mattered. Every loose ball was a war. But the chaos peaked in the third quarter when Sophie Cunningham, holding on to a defensive
from media member, let's hear it. Caitlin Clark to Indiana.
Rebound like her life depended on it, was ripped down to the hardwood by a Storm player. It wasn't basketball, it looked like a wrestling takedown. The ball popped loose, the crowd gasped, and the Fever bench exploded. And yet nothing, no whistle, no jump ball. The referee was standing 2 feet away, staring directly at the collision, and did nothing. That's when Caitlin Clark, sidelined with a nagging groin injury for the 7th straight game, completely lost it. She leaped from her seat, arms out, yelling across the court, "You were right in front of her. What are you doing?" Cameras caught every syllable, and in that split second, frustration of an entire fan base and locker room was channeled through her voice. It wasn't just about that play. It was about everything that moment represented: the unchecked physicality, the absence of accountability, and the league's baffling reluctance to protect its
I thought we did really well in the second half. Obviously, we boxed out pretty well, but, they're one of those type of teams that can get hot from the three-point line. They made a couple in a row.
Stars. Fans have watched Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and other guards get bulldozed all season long with no consequence, while the slightest bump on a perimeter shooter from a favored team draws an instant whistle. It's a pattern that has become impossible to ignore, and let's be honest, this isn't just a Fever problem. WNBA officiating is in a full-blown crisis. Coaches get fined if they speak out. Players get reprimanded for venting on social media. And the only people facing no repercussions are the referees missing the calls. Sophie Cunningham herself was fined $500 earlier this season for sharing a TikTok that criticized officials. Meanwhile, an actual body slam in live action earns silence. If that doesn't illustrate the league's misplaced priorities, nothing will. The consequences of this incompetence go beyond fan frustration. It's affecting the product on the court. Players can't focus on running plays if they're worried about getting hacked to the floor with no whistle.
I thought they contested well on stuff. I can say rebound, but we were trying.
Kelsey Plum has left post-game interviews with scratches across her arms, sarcastically asking reporters if maybe she needs to get tackled before she earns a trip to the free throw line. Becky Hammon has nearly gone nuclear in press conferences, risking fines just to say what everyone is thinking. The refereeing is atrocious. Caitlin Clark's reaction to the Sophie play wasn't just an emotional outburst, it was a spotlight on a systemic issue. The WNBA is trying to grow, pulling in millions of new viewers thanks to Clark's arrival. And yet it's putting out a product where the rules seem optional. When your league's most marketable star has to scream at a ref just to get basic enforcement of safety, you're flirting with disaster. And here's the cruel irony. On the same night, the officials embarrassed themselves. Sophie Cunningham delivered the performance of her life. The blonde bomber was the Fever's savior, drilling clutch shot after clutch shot to drag Indiana across the finish line. 506 from the field, 405 from 3, 17 points, and the only player on the entire roster to make a three-pointer. Read that again. Indiana Fever went 4 for 21 from downtown. All 4 makes belonged to Sophie Cunningham. She's not just hitting shots, she's becoming a phenomenon. Since her viral moment defending Clark against the Connecticut Sun, Sophie's confidence has skyrocketed. Fans have embraced her fiery, fearless style, dubbing her Sophie the Trophy and the Blonde Bomber. Her social media following has exploded by nearly 1 million, and jersey sales have spiked. She's become the heartbeat of a
They kind of went on a run and we really struggled to score. We didn't really get into much. So I would agree with Coach for sure.
team desperately, trying to stay afloat without its leader. But even her heroics almost weren't enough to prevent another Indiana collapse. Leading 55-42 midway through the third quarter, the Fever looked poised to cruise. Instead, as if cursed, they unraveled. Turnovers piled up, defensive rotations broke down, and Seattle went on a 10-2 run to close the quarter. By the fourth, that comfortable lead had shrunk to a nail-biting 4 points. It was a familiar nightmare for Fever fans. Build a lead, go ice cold, and watch it vanish in real time. With 3:12 remaining, the Storm trimmed it to 73-72, and you could practically feel an entire fan base reaching for anticides.
Be perfect, but just try to play with the same joy and fun that you've always have.
Dom, go ahead.
Hey, Caitlin. Dominic Miranda, WTHR.
Kelsey Mitchell's brutal night only magnified the tensions of a 4-8 from 3. 3 for 16 from the field, every miss feeding Seattle's comeback hopes. For long stretches, it felt like Indiana was playing for on 6, with Mitchell sabotaging possessions and the referees swallowing their whistles. And yet, somehow, they survived. Sophie hit her shots, the defense forced just enough stops. And when the final buzzer sounded, the Fever had escaped with a 78-74 victory.
And solely focused on the teams we're going to play. And you don't always get that in postseason basketball. So, being able to improve in areas that we needed to improve.
That felt less like a triumph and more like a dare to the league. Fix this before someone gets seriously hurt. The post-game scene said it all. Stephanie White praised her team's resilience, calling it a big-time win and commending every player for contributing. But the underlying story wasn't about X's and O's. It was about a league on the edge of a credibility crisis. Fans don't tune into. Watch stars like Clark and Cunningham become tackling dummies, while referees stand motionless. They don't buy tickets to see games decided by who can survive the most uncalled fouls. And here's the part that should terrify. In league office, this conversation is no longer confined to WNBA diehards. Millions are watching. Every controversial play gets clipped, shared, and dissected online. Every uncalled foul is a viral moment, and every time Caitlin Clark screams, "You were right in front of her," it echoes across social media as both entertainment and indictment. Sophie Cunningham's rise is the silver lining of this chaos. She's become the enforcer, the shot maker, and the emotional spark the Fever desperately need. But she can't carry the league's image problem alone. If the WNBA wants to capitalize on its momentum, it needs to protect its stars, enforce its rules, and restore confidence in its officiating, or risk turning every hard-fought win into another viral controversy. Because if the brightest highlight of your night is a player screaming at a referee for ignoring a body slam, you're not just running a basketball league, you're running a circus.